Hello everybody, and welcome to a brand new unit on fractions that will take us through the next month and a half or so. And in this first video lesson of the unit on fractions, we are going to answer the question together: what strategies can you use to find equivalent fractions? If you need a little bit of a fraction review, you can look at the other math antics videos that I included in the playlist on the YouTube channel, and that will give you a good background for what you did in third grade. So without further ado, let's get started.
So before we get into the different strategies, one important vocabulary word to remember, and I want you to write it down at the top of the model problem blocks, is this word equivalent. And what equivalent is a word that means an equal amount of value, okay? So it's almost worth the same thing. And we're going to figure out a fraction that's equivalent to 1/2, okay? And that means it's the same amount of value as 1/2, but it will be written a little bit differently. So one strategy you can use is to draw a model or a tape diagram, as I'm highlighting right here with the pointer. And I have one hole as the orange, and that represents one hole. I have 1/2, the blue rectangle, and that represents 1/2 of that hole. And I have two red rectangles that represent 2/4 of the hole. So right away you can see that the 2/4 have an equal amount of value, or is equivalent to 1/2. But how do we show that? Using some fast facts and using the written strategy right here. So what I'll look at is I'll say, all right, well, 1/2, I'm going to draw kind of a longer fraction bar right here. And I'm going to say, what could bring me to 2/4? But I know that 2 multiplied by 2, or a multiple of 2, could give me 4. Okay? So I've multiplied the denominator, the 2, by 2. Okay? And the biggest rule here of equivalent fractions is whatever you do to the bottom, or whatever you do to the denominator, you need to really make sure that you do to the numerator. So if I multiplied the denominator by 2, I'm going to multiply the numerator by 2. So I'm going to say 1 times 2 equals 2. So what that shows me is that 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. Sometimes you'll be asked to use division to find equivalent fractions, and what you may hear at home is people might say for you to reduce the fraction. So I'll show you how to use division to find equivalent fractions. So right here, I've shaded in 6/8 of this hole, right up here where you can see the pointer. And I'm going to try to find an equivalent fraction that is in fourths. And the reason why I want to find this equivalent fraction, sorry about that, the reason why I want to find this equivalent fraction in fourths is because I can see that right down here I have the same hole, but it's now divided into 4 equal parts instead of 8 equal parts. So by drawing a model, one strategy, I can simply just look up at the top and see there's 6 of those smaller boxes shaded in, and I'm going to shade in the matching amount of boxes at the bottom. So I can see that right here I have 6/8, and at the bottom I have 3/4, and I know that they take up an equal amount of space or an equal amount of value, which makes them equivalent fractions. But here's how you would show it using some division, because we're going from a larger digit to a smaller digit. So using the same strategy as in the first slide, I'm going to say, all right, well, I want to get it to fourths, so what's that fast fact I know that can get me to 4? But I know that 8 divided by 2 equals 4. And I'm sure that you all remember that whatever you do to that denominator, you really need to do to the numerator, pardon me. So I know that if I did 8 divided by 2, I will do 6 divided by 2, and that gives me 3. So both methods will give you an equivalent fraction, but in this case I was going from more equal parts to less equal parts, but it was the same whole, no matter what. And you can see that I did it by the model, by drawing the model, or shading in the model, because I shaded in 6 equal parts, and down here I shaded in 3 equal parts, but they take up an equal amount of space or an equal amount of value.
So for practice problem 1, please go ahead and find an equivalent fraction for 1/5, and also find an equivalent fraction for 6/16. But please pay close attention to the 8 that's right here. So that's going to tell you that you're going to be going from 16ths to 8ths, which means you'll have to divide. For practice problem 2, you'll be finding equivalent fractions for 2/3 and 8/12. So once again in this video, we answered the question, what strategies can you use to find equivalent fractions?